Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Podcast, the podcast with three different flavors coming from three different gamers. I am your host, Nick Irwin, and I want to welcome my co-host, Patrick Smith and Shane Eisterhold. Hey, Patrick, where can they find us?
Well, the first place you should check out is our website at ittastes.different.com. This is the place where you can subscribe to all of our streams and connect to all of our social media sites. You can also find us on Facebook at It Tastes Different. We're also on Instagram at It Tastes Different PC. And then last but not least is Twitter, where you can find us at It Tastes Diff.
On today's menu, we have Dining in Hell with Hellpoint. Now, Hellpoint is an action RPG that takes place on Idrid Novo, derelict space station. It's with a sci-fi, kind of dark sci-fi atmosphere. You fight zombie monster creatures, face the cosmic gods, and unravel their twisted story. Very much game like Dark Souls, by developer Cradle Games, publisher Tiny Build Games, and it's out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, Windows PC, just about everything. And we're playing the game on the Xbox. We're going to give our impressions and our review of the game and what we think of the game and how much we either like or dislike it, or what we like and what we don't like. I'm going to go ahead and move over to Patrick Smith and have him give us his idea of how he likes the game so far.
Well, I will start out with saying that these games are not my cup of tea. These Dark Soul-esque games, I will play them for the experience, but games like this they frustrate me to no end. I don't mind them being difficult, but this game was pretty difficult. I ran into, the normal things you're going to run into in Dark Souls games. The trash mobs are pretty difficult, but until you learn how they actually move and hit, and then they're pretty easy, and you move on to bosses, and you rotate through the bosses, learn their moves and how to combo and counter them and stuff like that. So this game's no different than that. What I will say is this game does look pretty. It has a cool sci-fi theme to it, as Nick was saying. The controls to me were very wonky. I will say that I did not think they were tight enough to be in this genre of a game. I felt that they were real sloppy and kind of floaty when I would try to move or dodge or something like that with enemies and bosses. I wish the story was a little bit more spoon-fed to us, because the sci-fi theme is really great, and it's one of my top driving things when I read or anything like that is sci-fi movies, sci-fi books, sci-fi television shows. So that's what kind of got me interested, but the gameplay is rough, in my opinion. Enemies seem to, especially bosses, seem to lock onto you, like you lock onto them when you're fighting. So when you're trying to get behind a boss, they're doing that same maneuver where they're always trying to face you. So trying to get behind them is really difficult with them. I had a lot of difficulty with this game. This game was very hard for me. I made it through the first boss after about 8 tries, and then moved on to the second area and made it to the second boss and died about probably 7 or 8 times. One of the aspects that I was really excited for in this game was the co-op. And unfortunately, the co-op is busted as of the time we're recording this. There's supposed to be a patch out to fix that. But me and Nick got in one co-op game that lasted maybe about 15 minutes, enough to help me beat the second boss. So we, once we hopped into co-op, I'll be honest, the second boss kind of went down like a sack of potatoes. It almost seemed too easy, because while Nick was pretty much getting the attention of the second boss, the Celestial Beast, I was able just to beat on the backside of it or the side of it while avoiding the tail. And Nick was kind of a little out-leveled it, so he was able to kind of beat it down pretty quick himself. I think you were peeling off like 1/8 of its health every time you whacked it. So, he went down pretty quick. But Dark Souls-esque game, they're supposed to be hard. But these games cause me to want to just not play them, because I can understand learning a boss fight and spending a couple of turns with the boss learning their mechanics, but this game just felt too sloppy to me to have those type of mechanics. There's some exploration in there, which is cool, which you can find these little hidden paths and find these cool little secrets and secret passages and armor and stuff like that. Definitely a pretty looking game. Not as polished as I would hope for $35, but still a sci-fi game, which is very cool.
I agree. For me, I do like these types of games, much like Dark Souls ish type of game, and that's definitely it. kind of follows that formula in space, which is neat and nice little sci-fi story. Yeah, the story is kind of it's there, but you really got to read into it. The bosses, what you were saying with their lock-on feature is correct. Now that I think about it, in fighting some of the other bosses, they seem to always be pointing in your direction, which does make it hard to attack from behind or from the side without them being locked in an animation. The game itself is the trash mobs are not too difficult in most cases. There are a few things I don't like about the game. Before I get into that, before we get into the things that kind of annoyed us the most about this game, and some of the things we may have liked. Shane, what did you think of this game so far?
Oh God, where do we begin to hate this game? I am not a Dark Souls player. I like a challenge, but there just comes a point to me where it stops being a challenge and just becomes monotonous hatred for us. The control setup, like Pat said, it wasn't tight. Its maneuverability when you need to just felt clunky. The mechanics of it worked well, but not well enough for what they were trying to do. I do like the sci-fi setting. I like the ideal of a lot of the characters, the way they looked. I wish there'd have been a little more polish onto them, just like some of the areas you go into. I did not get too far in it because I just rage quit too easy on a game like that. Like I said, I like a challenge, but when it's designed to be overly difficult, no matter what, to me that takes away from what a game is, fun. Now there are some people like Nick that just they relish in that stuff. I just do not. It's just not my type of game where I die, I redo, I die, I redo. No matter what I learn. Fighting the characters individually, not a problem. One or two, not a problem. It's when you get that third or fourth one in there on you, it just doesn't work for me. But, I'd be willing to give it a try when they fix the co-op. I like co-op. Co-op might make it a little more palatable for me. But that's how I feel about it.
Right. Yeah, the co-op that me and Patrick were able to play for a short period of time was a lot of fun, and I think if it did work, now that was on the Xbox. I think all versions of this game on every platform did have this particular issue, and I know some of the platforms, I think on PC had already gotten the co-op fix, but the ones for the consoles, I don't think at the time of this podcast have gotten that update yet. Some of the things I liked about the game were the weapons and armor and stuff all looked really cool. Upgrading, was normal, just like a normal Souls game. You get points. I can't remember what they call them, Axios or Aximos or something like that, that you would collect from defeating enemies, and then use that to upgrade your character. And you'd also use that to upgrade other things, other aspects of your weapons and various things, which is neat. That's a cool, all games kind of do that, but they had a kind of a neat idea with that. And along with the rifts are where you can pretty much, they're kind of like save points or respawn points, but you can also upgrade your character there, and you can also connect your rifts with an item that allows you to teleport back to the main rift. There's a main central area. You can do that from any of those rifts if you want to go back to the main area for any reason, and that's where you'll find a lot of your blacksmith stations and various things like that there. Some of the things I didn't like about this game, when you die, you're not all the time, but most of the time when you would die, you would get respawned. A ghost form of yourself would respawn as well, close to the area that you had died in. Now, in general, you would think that, okay, if I kill this ghost form of myself, I'm going to get back all the points that I lost when I died, but that's not the case at all. Those points are still there wherever you died at, but now you have this ghost form to fight. And I found that the ghost form, they will track you down the entire time and just swing at you or whatever, just try to kill you relentlessly. sometimes they would bug out where they would just constantly have their shield up. And it got to the point of I didn't like having that ghost form out there because it seemed like there was no point in me fighting it, because I would go to fight it, it would block and roll and do everything that I would do normally as a player, and by the time I killed it, I had already been missing half my health, or had to use a pot to get some of my health back. So that just seems like I got a disadvantage from that. Another thing too is like Dark Souls, they had fog walls that normally, you traverse the fog, and then when you traverse the fog on the other side, it's usually a boss, and that's how Dark Souls does it. Hellpoint, when you go to a boss, there is sometimes there is a fog wall if you die the first time or if you're going into it, but there's times where there are fog walls just in the regular map, and when you go into them, it's just a series of enemies you got to fight. It could be 5, 6, 10 enemies that'll just pop in, not all at once, but just kind of come in at points in different times, where you have to fight them off and kill them all before the fog wall goes away. Which seems, it's very random, and I don't understand the purpose behind it. Maybe there's some sort of lore purpose, but I don't really know what that was for. I've seen it a few times, and if you die enough, it just goes away. So unless you go in there and actually kill all the enemies, then the fog wall will go away. So I don't really know if that's just supposed to impede your progress at these choke points, or what the purpose of that is. Also, the platforming, the controls are not really good. There's actually quite a bit of platforming in this game in some sections, and it seems like the controls are not, and the camera kind of fight against you when you're trying to platform. So that stuff doesn't really work. You end up dying most of the time when you're trying to platform, because the jumping mechanics and stuff just don't quite work like they should. But yeah, that's some of the things that's most of the things I usually hated about it. The rest of it was just normal. It's normally Dark Souls. It's not as polished. It's an indie game. There's some graphical errors, some graphical glitches. I noticed like on one of the shields, it seems like they were using a low resolution texture because it was all blurry. You couldn't tell what the shield looked like, but hey, whatever, it's fine. Do you guys have anything else that you want to say about this game? Any pluses or minuses?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the sci-fi aspect was pretty cool. One of the things that frustrated me about this game that wasn't the same as like Dark Souls is that enemies respawn over time in this game, rather than like Dark Souls, which you could run through the map and check things out and run back before you want to use the campfire in Dark Souls to respawn the enemies. But in this game, enemies are on a timer, I've noticed, because I ran around a map long enough, killing stuff, just looking for secrets and stuff, that I come back through and the enemies are already back. So there's no sense that I kill everything. I can kind of explore and look around, because in this game the enemies will come back at a time frame, and so it makes backtracking and stuff like that a pain, because that's just horrible. I like exploration in games, so I like to look at every little nook and cranny and find the little hidden secrets and stuff. And then the breaches were cool aspect. They look cool and they allowed a lot of things, but the game gives no direction. So to use a breach as a traversal point for like a teleportation or whatever they called it, you have to use those synchronization devices in there to be able to use it to quick travel between areas. And without giving direction from the game, you don't know how far away you are to back travel, or if there's a secret way to get back. So you're kind of randomly using your kind of rare synchronization items in those rifts. So I didn't like that, but Souls games and stuff don't give you a lot of direction, but I felt like this game gave us less direction than even a Dark Souls game did. I felt a lot of times I was wandering around aimlessly.
Right, and yeah, you are correct. They do respawn over time. And it does seem like this game, unlike Dark Souls and some of the Dark Souls type games like this game seems to really be working against the player. Dark Souls is hard, but it's doable. This game seems to have a lot of mechanics that work against the player, just to be mean, right?
Yeah. Just difficult for the sake of being difficult, yeah.
Right. I mean, some of the stuff is just like, why have that? Like the ghost and the random fog walls, and the lack of. They have branching pathways. Dark Souls has that too. They have branching pathways. But one thing about Dark Souls is you'll start, and it may be because of the graphics and stuff, but like in Dark Souls, you'll start to remember, oh, okay, I've already been through this path, or I know where this is at. And there's landmarks and various things that jump out at you as you traverse the map. So you kind of get an idea of the layout. And in this one, I think they went with a more darker palette, and I think that color palette, and I think that darker color palette kind of it's like a metallic and black, basically, right? I think that kind of goes against the game as far as being able to traverse the map because a lot of things look the same, and so it's hard to tell if you've been in a section or not. And there seems to be way too many branching paths.
Right, like I said, the sci-fi aspect, great.
So I agree with all that. I really couldn't give it a fair review because I'm just not into punishment games. But I would say this, that the developers, I think if they'd have just put a little more time into it and thought out some of these things a little bit more, especially the difference between being difficult and just being mean, like you said, Nick, just to be, a problem. The way they've designed it, I think if they would fix some of that, the game would be quite solid because I think it's a good premise. I think everything is well done for an indie developer, especially for what they were trying to do. But for somebody like me, it's really hard to say, oh, I hate this game or I love this game because these games are not me. I hate being angry when I play a game. I do not want to sit and rage quit or use some vernacular that I shouldn't be using just to get the stress out when I play a game. I like to enjoy my game. I like a difficult game, but I do not like a game that makes me just want to explode like this one. I just think the developer has a lot of potential. I like to see him do something, like this again, but just better overall.
Yeah, I agree. I think the developer does have a lot, this indie developer, I think it was Cradle Games. Yeah, Cradle Games. Mm-hmm. I think they definitely have, this game is I think this is the first thing that they've ever made, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. I've never heard of that developer since this game, so I would just assume this is their first project. Or at least maybe their first major project, right? I think they did for their first project, I think they did a really good job. I think a Hellpoint 2, if they were to go that direction, might end up being a pretty cool game, right? They might fix a lot of these weird issues and stuff. But overall, I think it turned out, for me, as far as, would I recommend this game or not, it really just depends. If you're a fan of Dark Souls and Dark Soul types of games, or difficult games in general, you like those difficult action games, then this is, for the right price, this is definitely something that I would say go ahead and pick up and play. If you're more on Shane's side where you're not really big into these types of games, then I would say, forego it for now. Or if you're not really into them, but you would like to try it out, wait till it goes on sale or something, and then, pick it up on the cheap and try it out.
Yep, I agree. The developer, it's like I said, I would love more of the story of this game because this game looks great. The premise of it is pretty awesome. It's got a really good sci-fi feel to it, and you're on a space station, you're in space, giant black hole. The bosses look interesting. The game looks like it does need a little bit more polish to me, and in my opinion, the controls are not fleshed out. The game wants you to do some platformy stuff that just does not. The controls for this game do not allow for that. Too many times I died trying to do a jump that needed precision, and the mechanics are just not there for that precision jump or move. You have to just jump and hope and aim for like a wall to keep you from bouncing or moving too far. The controls are just too sloppy, in my opinion, for this level of defeat in a game. It's too sloppy to me.
Yeah. And none of the issues in here can't be addressed easily with an update. I mean, those controls can be updated easier. The fog walls that you were talking about, they could change those up in an update. They could make things better with a good update. And that's really, I think, all they need to really polish this game up, in my opinion.
Right.
And I think they should. I think the game's got enough potential where they should take that time and put it into this game and say, look, it's even better now.
Right. Yeah, the weapons, the various variation between the weapons is cool. The how they use and upgrade abilities for use weapon, and then how you get proficient with a weapon and the weapon gains abilities, and even the armor. The armor makes it look pretty cool, you know. So there are great aspects about this game, and I'm kind of middle of the road. I don't get as frustrated with these games as easy as Shane do, but I'm not a masochist like Nick. I can't beat my head on these enemies all day long and walk away with sanity. So for me,
Oh no.
I will play this game when the co-op. I'll play more of it, but I will probably play a lot more of it when the co-op is out, and I can run around with like Nick. You know, we'll run around and we'll go through the bosses that he's already done because I can't make it past X point. You know, so you know. And what I like about it is it's not Dark Souls style where you just come in for that boss and then leave. This game lets you run the whole space station with your friends, so you guys can just team up and run through it. They just add more enemies because when me and Nick did the co-op. A zone that I already ran through just had like double the amount of enemies in there. So instead of there being like 2 enemies on the stairs, there'll be 4. 1 enemy guarding a gate, there'll be 2. You know, which is fine. No. You just divide and conquer. So if you hate Souls games, I don't think this is a game for you. If you're middle of the road, I don't think this game is for you yet. If they polish and fix some things, I do think this game will be something you like. If you like Souls games and like getting beat time after time and learning mechanics and just running through the same gambit over and over like Dark Souls, I think this game would be one that you would definitely like. You know, Nick seems to enjoy it, and this is Nick's forte. So I don't dislike it, I don't hate it, but it's not in my wheelhouse. But like I said, it is in my wheelhouse when we play co-op because games like this just become a little bit easier when you do co-op almost because you can, like I said, Nick basically kept the attention of the celestial beast, and I just did all the side work. Nick did all the heavy lifting, and I got to just kind of reap the rewards of it.
All right. Did you guys have anything else to say about this game, or any other comments you wanted to make on it?
If you like Dark Souls, I'd say give it a try. If you're not into Dark Souls, save your $30-something.
Or if you got a buddy who is, and he'll be to do the heavy lifting for you.
Yep, he'll carry you on his back. Then I would definitely play it again because. Like I said, like we all said, game's got a lot of potential. Co-op is fun when it worked.
Nick's going to get to play this twice. He's going to play. Nick's going to play this game 3 times. He's going to play it by himself, and then he's going to play it with me, and then he's going to play it with Shane.
And that's fine.
Yeah, because you enjoy pain.
Yeah, I'll try different builds each time just to shake it up and have more fun. All right. Well, again, I wanted to say, just for those out there thinking about picking this game up, it is on pretty much every platform out there, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, PC. It is $35, and a game like this, especially being an indie game, you'll probably see it on sale, I'm sure, sometime soon. So, if you don't want to spend that $35 and expecting a little bit cheaper price, just wait it out. I bet you it'll be on one of those sales weekends or something. But all right, well, that's all we're serving today. Thanks, everyone. Join us next time. Bye-bye.